coffee mug on my desk. That's a lie. There's a coffee mug, but it's empty, Paul.
But it gives
And
you that encouragement that it's there for you.
we 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 know how horribly this will go without coffee, but we'll do our best. We'll do our best. I had questions for you, so I'm glad I got to
I'll
come on.
gladly take any questions. But before we do, I did have a few other topics that I did want to throw out there, emergency sake. I've taken a hiatus off of Kickstarters for a while, and now I'm about to go into two different ones. You're about to go into a Kickstarter yourself, or crowdfunding yourself as well on Indiegogo. Is that correct?
That is Friday going live.
So I did want to throw that topic of I guess unique crowdfunding events or items or specialty things that can attract people. Do you have any of those?
We do, and it was interesting because Pops and I were talking about that earlier. The tchotchkes, the add-on things, the like bookmarks and stickers and all that stuff. Yeah, on the campaign, I know for certain we're going to have coffee mugs with the Pariah logo.
Awesome.
I'm hoping I'll have a T-shirt prototype. I'm praying for that. My neighbor makes all this stuff,
Oh wow.
and then, but then I was thinking, I kind of want to do magnets with the
Mhm.
Pariah logo on
Yeah.
them, because tchotchkes are fun. You
Yeah.
know, why not have them?
And I like to do some events. I don't really see them that often, like the first 24-hour sale or something like
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
And the last Kickstarter I did, I had a ending 24-hour thing, and I was thinking about going on a certain show, a friend's show, and doing a special just for their show kind of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think
Yeah,
those small things are fun to do, little events,
I
you
agree.
know, extra
Now,
add-ons.
now we've got an interesting one that I've never seen before. John Dillard is drawing a print that is a crossover between my characters and the characters from Lightbringer 2.
Oh,
So if
wow.
you back both campaigns, you get that exclusive
Yeah,
print. I've never seen that done before, and I thought
yeah,
that's cool, especially since it's John Dillard. I mean, the guy is
yeah.
amazing. Um, Bit of a goofball, but he's amazing. So I want one.
Right, right. I mean, you see all this cool stuff everybody's doing, and you're like, how can I do incorporate that into mine, or what can I do uniquely different that nobody else has seen?
Yeah, and as Pop says, okay, somebody else has done that.
Yeah,
You remember the Bible said there is no new thing under heaven or
right,
earth. So
right. I mean, I honestly believe all of my stories, my books that I've done were, I guess, mutations of stuff that I've heard,
yeah,
and manipulated in a different, unique way.
yeah,
But it definitely, I don't feel like any of them are original, kind of thing.
yeah. And eventually somebody will come up with something like uh, our friend Cindy Koepp and her crocheted dragons and her crocheted plushies, the crocheted crom. I gotta say,
Yeah,
that's the first time I ever
yeah,
saw that. There's just on the one hand, no, there's nothing new, but on the other hand, there's just infinite creativity.
yes,
You know, and
yes,
I love that stuff. I love look, man. Even if I can't afford to back something, I love looking at the campaigns. Like, oh, look at that. Oh, I want that.
yeah. The neon tapestries, I had that on one of mine, and man, those are beautiful,
I
beautiful
I
pieces.
am look. Anthony unboxed one on his channel. My character, the Golem.
Hmm.
I called him immediately. I said, "Why is that not hanging on my wall?"
Right,
So, well, I
right,
mean, it was the proof copy, man. I wasn't being serious.
right.
He
But
felt
yeah,
he felt the need to defend it, but I can't wait to have those hanging up here behind me,
yeah.
all out of focus like my Marvel posters back there.
Man, I'm telling you, some of these things that are on Kickstarters and stuff. And I got this one book that I'm going to be bringing in, which is Devil's Dracula's Descendants, and
Mm.
it might be available in stores and stuff. And people are like, "Why are you going to bring it to Kickstarter then?" But I'm like, there's so many unique things that you can do on Kickstarter. You can add all these bonuses and like the stickers and the
And that's how
bookmark.
you fund the printing.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's fun to do. I think it is.
yeah. Well, I'm I'm not nervous. I'm
Right.
not even anxious about it because I think I'm too old for all that shit. But is it safe to say I'm excited to be launching?
Yes.
But my
Yeah.
question for you
Yes.
was in your campaigns because you far outstripped me.
Oh.
Which of the tchotchkes worked best for you?
Oh wow. I I think it was like the mini prints.
So like little 5x7
Yeah,
prints.
so I didn't do regular size prints because they cost more to ship. So
Yeah,
I did the smaller ones, and but what I did originally, I just had them as add-ons, but they worked so well that, or not add-ons, stretch goals.
yeah.
But they worked so well, and I had so much feedback from them that I did them as add-ons on the next one, and I did a few extra ones, and man, they sold a good amount.
See, I like that, and
Yeah,
I've been kind of pushing for that. Now I've been doing 5x7 sketch cards
yeah,
without an understanding of what sketch cards really are. Sketch cards are you just buy a sketch card, and I'm supposed to draw something, and it go. So I thought I had to draw them all ahead of time, and they would be on the campaign, and you pick one. So I've done a bunch. There's like
yeah.
8 of them right now, I think. Got 2 lurking over there. Yeah, here they are. Well, no, I take that back. I was going to show something not original but unique, maybe. Anyway, this sketch card of Elizabeth.
Wow.
Just I did that on one of the draw streams, but then I was going to make this into a sketch card. It's my goal,
Oh, wow.
and I cut it out of a page because I wanted to lay it into the story somewhere else. And Anthony's like, "No, sell that as a piece of the page," you know.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, okay, if you say so." I don't know these things, so
Yeah,
uh,
like original pieces and stuff like that.
that's why I
Eh,
have a publisher.
they're so great. I mean, don't get me wrong, I haven't sold many of them, but I mean, people will buy them for a good amount. And of course, I don't have much art because I'm not an artist per
Right,
se. I just started diddle daddling myself. But whenever I could get somebody to do sketches and stuff like on blank covers, man, they sell really good.
Paul. Don't diddle daddle yourself.
I'm just starting. I had to put it all
That
down
it'll
because
cause blindness.
yeah, well, that's why we got glasses.
You're but I've been watching your art, and you are coming right along.
Thank you. Yeah.
You will get where you want to go as long as you
Yeah.
stay with it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had to put it down because I had to do that script for this other book because that kind of just fell in our laps all of a sudden, kind of thing. And
Yeah,
I was trying to keep ahead of the artist, and that was one thing I didn't want to do was hold him up because
right.
you know.
Because it
So
takes so damn long to draw. Tell me about ASAP.
yeah, man. I don't know where to start. Whenever there was stuff going on with my previous publisher, I had just figured I was going to be out by myself for a while, and Hades came to me and he was like, "Hey, I love your stuff. Why don't we talk about incorporating it into any one world?" So it was a period of maybe about 2 months where I was going back and forth with him, talking to him, and eventually the numbers kind of lined up, and he was a great guy to talk to, and the whole ASAP family was really nice and stuff, and I knew a few one of the guys that was in it already, so I was like, man, how could I not take advantage of
Yeah,
him
yeah,
being in the UK? The editor in chief is in the Canada. My one of my best friends who's in Australia is got a book with them. And I'm like, man, if I can utilize this resource on my campaigns and not have to pay those international fees, you
yes,
know,
sir. Yes, sir.
that in itself, but it was more than that. They were that an up and coming publisher that seemed to be doing well with their books
Yeah,
and
nice.
taking care of their people. And I
So
was like,
you didn't stay
yeah,
in limbo long.
no, it was probably
Mer-
2 months. Yeah,
Mercifully, that if you're doing good work, people notice,
yeah, yeah,
and
and
if you're
I was
fulfilling
shocked.
and you're consistent,
Yeah,
all those
I was really
keywords.
shocked. I mean, I didn't think that I would find anybody else, and you know, I I know I had asked him his advice whenever everything was going on, and at one point he was like, "Why don't you bring it to ASAP?" And I was like, "Really?" I was like, "Okay."
I
But yeah,
and these guys that do that now. I know you've self published,
yeah,
but these guys that actually run little publishing houses, be they
right.
whatever size they are, doesn't matter. They're a special breed.
Hmm.
I will say this, Anthony, my publisher, he has gone above and beyond for me. Now I'm blessed that he's a bit of an artist himself, so he'll scan a picture and we're doing the scripting, and I'll say, "Can you fix that line right there under that?" And he'll, "Yeah, I can do that." And I was like, "Oh, thank God that I've got that resource."
Yeah,
And he's been a good sounding board as I'm scripting. I'm a good writer, but no one is perfect.
right.
And there was one point he goes, "Don't you think it would be better if he said this?" And I stopped and I went, "Well, just damn it, you're right."
Yeah,
That would be a better line.
yeah.
So, it's good to have a real hands-on publisher that way, I think.
Yeah, and Laurie, who's the editor in chief up there in Canada, she was writing books before she came to comics,
Okay.
and she started YouTubing whenever I started doing my stuff. So she was talking about how she was joining ASAP and how she was getting into comics, and this is all the while whenever I was starting my first book. So I kind of felt like me and her were taking two journeys at the same time, but she was going
Yes,
to ASAP and I was going my way. And then it just kind of,
those
yeah,
paths converge.
yeah.
L.A. Cunningham
LA
is
Cunningham, yes.
Laurie Cunningham.
Yes.
Now, have you had her out on your show yet?
I haven't had her on the show yet. I'm looking forward to it. I know we've been talking about it, me and her.
I'll
But
watch that one, brother. I'll
yeah,
watch that one. I
yeah,
got to
because
see that.
she's great to talk. I've talked to her on a panel show or two, but I mean, I definitely want her to be on my show
Yeah,
one of these days.
yeah, definitely. Now, on the other hand, I was lamenting this to Pops, and I can only plead that last minute frenzy before launch. But I've been contacted by three different people that wanted to come out on my show, and I
Mhm.
booked them. One, two,
Yeah.
three. Yes, I got you. I have no idea who I talked to. I didn't write it down.
You talked to me. It was me all three times. I
Was
wanted
it
to
you?
come on
Okay.
your
All right, good. Come on out.
I do want to come on your show, but no, it wasn't me.
I, I told Pops, like, I guess I'll just do the show Saturday morning, and whoever shows up, that's who was supposed to be there.
Oh, I'll
I
show
hope.
up.
I hope. Yeah,
I'll show up.
if they don't show up, you owe me one. You got to bail me out.
I'll show up. I'll show up every weekend for you, Doc. I'll be there.
I mean, we always have a good time at the coffee shop, because
Yeah.
it's not really a hard comic book show as much as it is just. I always envisioned it and want it to be more like a morning radio drive show that we used to
Right.
enjoy before the days of the internet. That was your great morning humor. We had God so many here in Atlanta when I was a kid coming up on 96 Rock and Z93, and the morning shows were just hysterical.
Yeah.
And they were familiar and comforting. So that's kind of what I wanted to bring to a show. We sometimes hit that, and we sometimes don't. And I think when we don't, it's even funnier than when we do.
Right. I definitely understand that. This show was all about, talking about those pitfalls and stuff of getting into it. But every once in a while it kind of goes off course, which is fine. That's the way, shows are sometimes. You get a
Hmm.
little personal and you talk about yourself and
Yeah,
stuff, but
yeah.
there's definitely nothing wrong with that.
Now I'll tell you, in regards to publishing.
Mhm.
Uh, at first, I was bucking on this because to me it was a bitter pill to swallow. I was going to wait a couple of more months and be completely done with all 120 pages of
Right.
Pariah and launch. But Anthony was adamant, we've got to break this thing. And he was right because the economy's in the toilet right now. And, let's build instead of going for broke on one big shindig. And he was right. I was wrong. And I said, you're right. We got to do it this way. But what that requires me to do, as you know, as a writer, my story arc can't be this. It's got to be
Yeah.
this. And I'm like, oh, son of a bitch, more drawing.
So speaking of that, okay, Dracula's Descent was a project that me and one of my cover artists, Jeff Mute, put together, and
Oh, I
we're
know
like,
Jeff. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So okay, he came to me with this cover page basically, and he's like, I want to make a comic out of this. Can you come up with something? So I sat down and started throwing ideas at him, and he loved this concept of Dracula meets Game of Thrones. So it was basically like who would take over if Dracula died, and here's these
Oh,
6 factions. So he tells me, he's like, I want a graphic novel. I want a 90-page graphic novel. And I was like, I can do that for you. I have no problem with that. So he goes and shops it around while I'm writing this thing. And Doc, I'm practically finished because you know how you have to start and end and then fill in the, oh, I have start and end, fill in them in between.
yes, yes,
And with a 90 page, there's that huge arc that you have, but you want to make
yes,
sure that everything in between is continuously flowing to keep the reader interested.
yes, yes.
Well, he shops it around and comes back to me and it says they want a 22-page monthly. And I'm like, excuse me? I'm like, I have this written. My ending is, and I'm not going to say great, but my ending is like, to me, really good. Now you're telling me to chop it up and I
Yep.
can't use that ending for like eight issues or something?
Oh man.
Yeah.
So I know you feel me then, man. What it's
Yeah.
like to get chopped. I'm like, oh, son of a bad.
Yeah.
And now it's you got to have that beginning, that climax, the denouement on each one of these. In theory, getting better with every book until you have the huge climax at the end. And I distinctly remember. All right, I said one good thing is there's a scene I wanted to put in here, but there wasn't room for it. Now there's room. So I start
Yes.
drawing this scene, and I'm having a really good time with it, and that's all fun and games, popcorn, yay! And then you realize there's still more you have to do, and it's stuff you don't want to
Yes.
do.
So,
Like,
okay. So, and I don't want to talk bad about anybody, okay?
right,
But there are some writers that I know, and I try to help as many people as I can. But there are some writers out there that are like, "Well, I'm just going to write this," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, you gotta understand. There's a flow to the panels, even on that one page." And
mhm.
and so I'm chopping this thing up, and I'm going, "Oh, I got more room to do this."
Yes, but less room for this.
Yeah, and I'm like, I have to make every panel be
Yep.
there for a reason. At least I
Yes.
do.
Yes. Me too. Me
Some
too.
some writers are like, I wrote a paragraph and I'm just going to give it to my artist, and I'm like, what? I'm like, no, you're the writer. You got to make the panel flow. You've got to get the page turns right.
when I when I am just the penciler, I want that freedom. Give me a paragraph, let me do, but when I'm the writer and I'm both on this book,
Yeah,
I'm going to micromanage. So I'm always warring with myself,
yeah.
you know, write this scene out, Doc. And then the other side of me goes, no, just draw and make it fit. So that battle is always going on in my head. But
As a writer, and I've never drawn, but as a writer, I've got like 3 teams that I've worked with, and I feel like I understand what they have strengths and weaknesses a little bit,
yeah, yeah,
especially one of my teams. And I drew like 2 pages that he's on right now. It's 5 panels, but he's like, man, these panels are rough. He's like, he showed me his roughs of it, and I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. And I had showed the script to another artist, and he's like, I couldn't draw that. He was like, I don't know what you're thinking about writing this, and I'm like thinking to myself, I knew this artist could do it
yeah,
because
yes,
I know how he works, and I didn't write the details as much as I would for my other team.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
yep,
and it's like one of those things. If you know the artist, you know that you can write more or less, and how many panels you can get away with and stuff. Man,
yeah,
it's
yeah. Yes, yes, yes. It's that well that that discussion I think has been going on since Simon and Schuster, Kirby and Stan Lee,
yeah, and I wish I was, you know, I wish I had that insight of those discussions because I'm new. I mean, I'm only a year
Oh, wouldn't
into
it
it.
be cool to have been a fly on the wall and hear these
Man,
conversations?
if I could just have been in those Marvel bullpens, I would, love to hear this stuff because I don't know how. Somebody came to me and they had some art. They had like a 40-page book they were trying to put together, and they're like, "Hey, can you write this?" And I'm like, "You did all the art, and you're wanting me to put a story to it?"
Script it. Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, "I've never done. I would love to try that."
Yeah.
But then I'm looking at his stuff, and I'm like, "Man, that's going to take me a lot longer."
Yeah. Yeah. Anthony got after me the other day. Uh, we were backstage and we were cutting up. I had indigestion. I'm like, I need to go get something. I don't feel good. And when I come back, he's like, you really need to go ahead and send me the script. So if something happens to you, I got I said, listen, Jack, me and the book cross the finish line together. If I go down, the book goes down.
Now, having said that, I did outlines for Bushibu all the way to issue 12, and I was
Right?
going to write the scripts all the way just in case anything ever happened to me, someone could finish it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But someone stopped me and was like, a writer gets better in time.
Yes.
So if you leave those scripts for when you're ready for them, they're
Yeah.
probably going to be better.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Writers level up as they go, just like
but
pencilers.
I'm like, what if I get hit by a bus? I was seriously thinking that, and I was like, I could leave these scripts for my kids to finish, get them done.
when, when I got COVID, it was the same thing. I'm like, no, I haven't finished the book.
But I mean, I got my outline, so it's like it's not going to take much to finish them.
Right.
But
Right. But
it's like
still,
you say that it's like,
I don't want to get hit by a bus before I finish
well,
this
I
thing.
don't either. But what happens if I could, trip and fall on my stairs outside.
Yep. Yep. You break a hip, it's over with at our age. Just saying,
I
Off you.
could be talking to one of these artists and they throw a pencil at me. I don't know. I needed to finish my script.
Okay. We've taken a turn into Bizarro land. But look, I'm taking my stand on it. Me and my book cross the finish line together, or there's no go.
I
Just saying.
I
Just
want to
saying.
finish my stuff out just in case I pass, like I said, so my kids can finish it out,
Yep.
or I could hand it off to
Well,
you
that's
know.
because your kids have an interest in these things. My son could give a crap
Well,
less.
I mean, okay. So Dylan told me, about a week ago, he's like, I want to do my own book, and every day we've been spending about an hour talking about the process. And I'm like, that's amazing. He's 17 and he wants to do this,
Hell
something
yeah.
that I've never done until I was, you know, 90 something or however old I was when I started. But, I've got such great teams that I think I could hand off like Bushibu to one of my partners and,
Yeah.
they could run with it. They've
Yeah.
actually made me an offer to buy it at one point.
Ooh.
And if it hadn't have been, for the fact that my kids helped me make it,
Right.
I probably would have sold it.
Yeah. Yeah. But this is a legacy thing for you, the Bushy Boo. That's a family legacy
Right.
thing, as it
Yeah.
should be. As it should be. Now, I don't think my wife would want to write my book.
No.
I know she wouldn't want to draw it. She hates art.
But
So yeah, there's that. But the other part of the publishing thing that I was curious about,
yeah.
uh, and this is more toward those publishing houses. I was wondering, do they go to the mat for you like my guy's doing for me? I mean, did I just get lucky by having someone who's also an artist, or do they
You probably have to give me a little more details. I've been with
fix
Charter.
this panel for me, Anthony? And I can tell him, all right, see this line under her eye? That was not meant to be there. I think I inked a boo boo. Can we white that out? And he'll take it out for me. And, make the hair curl under right here. Yeah, he can do that.
Okay, so I've been with Charter, Charter Comics. I'm not sure if you know who they are. I'm with ASAP right now, and then Blood Moon is the one that wanted Dracula's Descent. I can't really talk about ASAP and Blood Moon because I'm really new to them.
Right.
ASAP has been great for me, and they've helped edit some stuff that needed to be edited that was overlooked and whatnot. So they've been really great in that aspect.
Yeah.
They've advertised me, and they pushed me a little bit more than I thought they were going to. So I'm happy with them.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really want to say anything bad about Charter, so I will say this. They have one person that I admire a great deal, and I will work with him till the end of time because he was always helping and pushing the project to be the best it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, the rest of that publisher wasn't exactly that gun ho about it.
Supportive,
Yeah,
not really all that supportive. Yeah, and and I know, Tanner Hurley at Printed Out Pops. What's the name of his? Starts with an A. I always get him mixed up with Max at
I know.
Atrocity Press.
Atrocity, no, it
Uh,
Apothic.
Apothic Press. Thank you, Pops. Those guys will do anything for you.
Yeah.
They're just good as gold. So
I'm Tanner Hurley, and you're watching the Madness Comics Network. Get some.
that's my boy. He's good people. That's my co-pilot and co-host on my show. I'm glad to have him.
Yeah,
mainly,
I've always enjoyed talking to him too.
yeah, mainly because he laughs at my jokes, Paul.
I know that's hard to, hard to find unless you're paying for it.
I don't pay him enough, that's for sure.
No. But yeah, no, I mean every publisher I think is different.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be helpful
I
in one
know
way or another.
all of them will have an editor, but editors are more about helping with the story and the writing. I think having an artist as an editor that can actually help with a little tweak here and a tweak there, is good.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to be an editor. I never want to be a publisher. I've been asked to edit a book here recently from a friend of mine's doing a book. And I thought about it for days. And I was like, I'm not that person. I can't do this.
I would love to be an editor.
Mm.
So I'd like to tell you a story. Or whenever I first started, I got with this editor. He was an Eisner Awards winning editor. Great. Whenever it came to showing me, teaching me, and not just doing everything for me. He actually showed me how to get to the finished product, how to improve everything. And at one point he was like, you should become an editor and I'll back you up. And I was like, I wasn't comfortable with it at that time, but he sent a few people my way and he's like, help me out here. Just look through these books and tell me what you think needs to be changed. So I actually edited about 4 books with him.
Nice.
And whenever I say I edited them with him, it was like I told him what I thought needed to be improved. And 90% of the time was like, yeah, you're spot on. That's exactly what I would do.
Good on you.
And then he would sit down with me and the book, whoever was running the books. And usually it was me telling him, hey, this is the reason why it might need to change. These are the reasons why I think this needs to be explained to me if it's going to be ran that way. So I enjoyed it. I loved helping people out. I didn't think that my dyslexia really was in my favor of that stuff because I had to read it like 10 times to make sure I wasn't missing anything.
Right.
But
that makes you a more careful reader.
Yeah. No, and man, I loved all comics. Like, some of these stuff weren't in my wheelhouse, but I loved reading them. I loved getting into them. I loved blanking my mind out and getting into the book and looking at it subjectively.
Yes.
And so I would love to be an editor one day, but right now I'm having fun doing this stuff.
Yeah. I think that I could edit graphic novels and comic books, but not a book, not somebody's whole book. that's just, and I'll tell you why, because the writer in me comes out and I start wanting to rewrite whole passages. And that's not what you're supposed to do as an
Yeah.
editor. But so I declined that one. But I don't know, man. I might be willing to edit a comic book or a series, a short run, maybe an 8-issue run, 5-issue run, something like that, just for continuity and for clarity, and then you give it to Pops to be the human grammar checker. 'Cause he can spot a grammar type or a typo or a misspelled word from 50 paces. So yeah, but that side of the house, although interesting and perhaps the art and the writing definite, I just want to keep doing those. So I was delayed. Look, there was never any doubt in my mind. I'm going to find somebody to publish this. And I mean, they'll do the publishing, they'll do the campaign page, they'll do the fulfillment. All I got to do is make the book, and that's what I got myself into, and I'm very happy.
Great.
With.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing just about everything to get it to that finishing point. They're helping me afterwards.
Yeah.
Well, with the exception of Blood Moon, they said that they're going to pick up everything at a certain point, but that we were allowed to kickstart it. So,
okay, there you go.
It was one of the things that we had to talk and make sure we were on the same page about. With every publisher, it's different.
Yeah.
And, I definitely encourage anyone who's going to get in with a publisher, make sure you understand what they are going to help you with, what they're not going to help you with.
Yes.
What's beneficial for not only you, but what's beneficial for them.
Clear expectations.
Yes.
Clear expectations. Wayne Clingman is in the chat. Hey Wayne, good to see you as always, brother. I love listening to this. This guy was on Laurie's show a couple of weeks ago. That was one of the best episodes of anything I've seen. I was mesmerized.
Laurie's show, man. Let me tell you.
Great.
She's got a line a mile long. I heard I had to wait behind you.
You do. You got to get behind me. Because I'm here to tell you, I had to fight for that spot. I'm like, Laurie, what are you talking about? You took over my show. she's like,
doing great.
She's like, I'm Leno, you're Letterman. Go to the back.
Yeah.
I was like, damn it.
She's knocking it out of the park, though, right?
She's super good. She's super fun.
Yeah.
She does really good interviews, and she has the most contagious laugh on the internet.
Yeah.
When she laughs, I crack up. But she did a really good interview with Wayne, and of course, Wayne was a spectacular guest. That his world of the crime syndicates. That's almost a bottomless pit of information that's entertaining and educational and interesting, as it should be, as any topic should be that's worth its time in the press,
Yeah.
But but then Laurie, but then Laurie contacted me and she's like, I want to be on your show.
That's his new logo, Doc. He got rid of the Mr. Big and he's got that now.
Chicago outfit.
Blood in the streets. Yo.
The check is in the mail. You bet, Wayne. You bet. But then Laurie said, I need to come out on your show because I'm launching so-and-so. I said, let me check my calendar.
Yeah. Take a number.
I really do have guests lined up. I just don't know who they are. No clue.
Just come on my show. No waiting up here.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to be, the day after launch, I'm doing my show in the morning. And those of you that are watching that might not know, my show is Doc's Coffee Shop. It's 10:30 Saturday morning, fun and laughs. And then I'm immediately going on somebody else's show, or there's one right before it. I don't remember which. Chances are I will be hungover because I plan to be drinking during my launch.
Yes.
If the book fully funds, I'll drink the whole bottle. Just saying.
I was thinking about doing like a continuous cast, from launch to end.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be something?
I wonder if I could get away with that.
I don't know. There's 2 or 3 channels where I have seen the host go to sleep or leave, and they get tons of views. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to stream my empty studio.
Well, here's the thing. So I don't have to leave it empty. I've got 3 kids. They can take shifts. Dylan.
Yes, yes, yes.
Dylan's kind of a delight. I mean, he's always laughing when he's on a stream, but he'll keep people awake.
Well, Wayne, you can come on out now if you want to.
Yeah.
There's no agenda here. Paul's guest couldn't make it, and I'm the break glass in case of emergency guest.
Oh, come on now.
Because I'll go out and talk to anybody about anything.
But you're welcome to come on anytime. So, I mean, whether it's today or next week on next Wednesday or whatnot.
Yep. And again, we're going to be launching Friday. I can't believe it, man. Just 2 more days and finally giving birth to this baby.
Yeah.
Paul, I've been pregnant with this thing for 18 years.
I believe it. I believe it.
I know how women feel now. Come on, let's just get it over with. Okay, you got to go bring in the dogs.
Walk around the block, Doc. Walk around the block.
Walk around the block?
Yeah. Whenever you're pregnant at the last, they tell me to walk.
When my first son was born, I was in the Navy, and I was on duty on Parris Island at the gas chamber. And basically that's just sit outside in your ambulance under a shade tree while the recruits go in there and cough and gag. It's hardly anything ever happens. And I'm sitting out there and my radio comes to life. And, this is the military. Everything's always professional. This time it was not. It was, I recognized my buddy's voice as soon as I heard it on the radio. He goes, "Hey, Doc, yeah, your wife's in labor." I am halfway to the Naval Hospital before I realize I got to go turn my ambulance in and get my private vehicle and go over there. So I have to bang a U-turn and go screaming at lights and I was like, of all the timing, geez, the gas chamber, are you serious? Which, by the way, you do have the CS powder all over you. So I had to make sure I stopped at the house, grabbed some scrubs and put them on and got all that stuff. Because, you don't want your baby to be born exposed to tear gas.
Right.
It's a traumatic enough day for them. So, yeah. Interesting. Children.
Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you. Yeah. I love my kids. Man, but, every once in a while, I think, they say the firehouse is a safe space for any kids that you want to drop off sometimes. I'm like, yeah, they're 15, but hey, go check out that fire truck.
We talked about that this morning. When son number 1 was born, he popped out and he was the Gerber baby. Like, here, take a picture. Son number 2 popped out. He looked like a rubber chicken. It's like, you got to put this thing back. It ain't done yet. I thought he handed me her liver C-section.
Oh, man.
Here, like, I'm not holding that. I'll wait for the baby. No, that is your baby.
My twins, Doc, they could fit in the palm of my hand. One in each. It was like, that's it? That's all of them? My youngest, though, man, he was like, this big at birth.
Yeah. My oldest was 8 pounds, 11 ounces. And then my youngest was an even 7. But, they both grew to be handsome young men. But one of them had a head start on the other one. I'm just saying. Rubber Chicken had some work to do. Christian, I'm talking about you, son. And he's kind of gone back to looking like a rubber chicken now, to be honest with you, now that he's 30.
Yeah. Kids are great. They are.
Drop them off at the fire department.
I'm telling you, sometimes they get on my nerves. That's all I'm saying.
Are you tired of those little wallet draining crap factories keeping you awake?
It's a safe space. So a friend of mine's like, you can't do that. They're 15, and I'm like, yeah, you could do it at any age. Fire department, police department. This. I think QT is a safe space too.
QT, I'm not so sure about that one.
No, they got the big signs up there. If you ever go to a QT, they got the safe space sign. I bet you. Every QT.
That's not for dropping kids off. That's for like if you've been abducted, you can go.
Yeah,
there.
And for dropping kids off. Like how they used to say you could take it to like a church and drop them off at the steps.
Paul has researched this entirely too much, ladies and gentlemen. I was cutting up about my kid. This man is serious.
You got to understand that I at one time had 6 kids, okay, and a wife that was mentally crazy. So it was like, maybe I need to take them for their own safety.
Take all of us. Get me out of here too.
The oldest, I'm 21. I don't care. Get over there. Be safe.
That's right. That's right. 21. Why are you still here? Get out.
I couldn't do that. I tried, but I couldn't do that. I love my kids. I really
look, I would never get rid of mine unless they really push me.
Right?
I would never get rid of my kids. Now I've got grandkids, and even my grandkids are all graduated from high school now, so it's time to slow down on all the daddy stuff.
Yeah.
You know, now it's bringing grandpa something to eat. Run this errand for me, son. Cut the grass for granny. No, they don't do any of that stuff. None of it. Ungrateful little.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Freaking
Fire station.
Fire station. You're a bunch of ungrateful tax write-offs. That's all you are.
Back in my day, I was the remote control.
Yes. Yes.
They don't understand that.
Yes, with the pliers.
Yeah, the rabbit ears.
Yes. Yeah, hold, stay right there.
Yeah, they don't understand that. Their stream is off. They're like, oh, my world's ending.
Yeah. This somehow we got off of publishing.
Yeah. You know, the funny thing about it is I have like a million questions when it comes to comics too. But we're talking about kids.
Kids, comics, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Now, I'll say this. My love affair with comics was what would you call it? It was a false start and then a start.
Yeah.
So like I was in kindergarten. I couldn't really even read all that well yet, although we were reading some.
Yeah.
We started young back in the day. My mother went and got a Superman comic and a Batman comic, and she was going to read them to us. And right off the bat, I had a problem because my brother got the Superman comic. I got the Batman comic, and Batman couldn't fly. And I could not understand why Batman couldn't fly. He's got a cape. And so I was shipwrecked over that, Paul. I'm like, well, I just screw this, man. Drives a car. Drives a car around. I want a flying super. Anyway, flash forward. I'm either 8 or 9 years old, and I buy my first comic book that I wanted, and it was Captain America Mad Bomb. And anybody that knows Cap knows Mad Bomb. 1976, 75, somewhere around there. And I got that thing and I read it. And then like Pops and I talked about, then I discovered, you mean Cap's in another book with all these other superheroes? Oh, and it was on. I collected all the way until I joined the Navy. Yeah. And then that thing happened that happens to every person that goes in the military.
Yeah.
Mom cleans out everything. So that one was gone. So then a good long while goes by and I start getting back into it again in the 90s, early 90s, like 1990. And I start collecting. And oh my God, there was some good stuff going on back then, you know.
Yeah.
Image was being born.
Yeah.
You had, you know, Batman with a broken back, a dead Superman, Lobo flying around. Valiant came out. Malibu came out.
Yeah.
Dark Horse and Ghost. Yeah. One of my favorites.
Was around that time too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm getting back into this stuff. And that's when I started doing comics myself for an odd reason. I was going to college, but I had also gotten injured and I wasn't able to work like I was used to working. And I thought, well, I can draw. I've always been able to do art. I've been doing art since I was 15. So I applied to all these little small press companies and lo and behold, they hired me. And I started doing monthlies. And then, you know, got my degree and I went on. I was a counselor all my rest of my working life. And now here I am back in it again. So I got to say it's a lot like the Hydra. You know, you cut one head off and two more come back and they get you. They pull you back in.
Well, I'm glad it did because, you know, my story was a little bit similar to that. You know, I wanted to write a comic with my best friend when I was in high school. You know, I had gotten in, it was the 90s and, you know, my first comic that really impacted me to start collecting was an X-Men annual.
Right.
And after that, I started collecting. Two of my best friends collected, and one of them was a big Spider-Man fan, so he had to have everything Spider-Man. My other best friend, who could draw like a beast, he
Mhm.
was into Dark Horse and these unique stuff. And I was into X-Men, so I got to read all this stuff because I got to read all their stuff. They didn't really read each other's or mine, but I got
Right.
the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my best friend, he used to be able to draw like I always said, if I had your talent, I would be a millionaire.
Right.
And he
Right.
was
Right.
all like, yeah, whatever. And he
Yeah.
never did anything with it. But I actually paid him once to draw a comic for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I loved his art was, just he could pick a comic up, looking at it, and draw the interior pages of it,
Right.
without having to trace anything or anything, and
Yeah.
just out
Yeah.
of random.
Yeah.
And his art was just beautiful. I
Go
was
find
telling
him. Go
no,
find him.
I did, and I actually had tried to get him to do a cover for me on my first book, and he was like, I haven't drawn in such a long time that it's not. And his art probably was not probably it wasn't exactly the same, but
Right.
I think that it just would have taken a few months for him to.
Very short time for it to come back. Yeah.
And I was trying to encourage him, but he really didn't want to. But
Yeah.
I was telling another artist that I'd seen at a convention. I was like, man, your art's so amazing. Why aren't you making $1 million? I mean,
Yeah.
why aren't you? And the funny thing is, there's so much potential out there, and so many. A lot of people tell me that PTSD is a great book.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's great. I think of it. It's good because it's mine.
It's an award-winning comic.
It's an award-winning, yeah.
Of course, it's good.
But I mean, I know that it didn't sell that much at first because nobody knew it, or it really wasn't.
Right.
And that's the way I feel with a lot of things, especially artists. They have this. A lot of people have this ability,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't get seen, or they don't know how to push it.
Yeah.
Or they don't know how to use it. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I can't believe that sometimes.
Yeah. We asked Mike Barron. I think you were there. We asked him what he looked for in a penciler, and he said they need to be competent, available, and they deliver.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. So you think now there are tons of talented people, but they don't deliver. They miss deadlines, or they're not serious about it, or whatever it may be that holds them back. I have always said, and I teach my art students this: to be successful in art, you have to make art, and that's be proficient, be prolific. You have to show it to people,
Yeah.
and you have to be nice, and that means stand behind your product.
Yeah.
And if you're missing any of those three things, you might do a little bit, but you're not going to have a career. You got to have all of that going for you.
So and again, I usually try not to promote my own books on my show, but my interior artist on PTSD and Cryptic Haze, his name's San Espina. I showed it to this publisher on Blood Moon because I'm doing a Prelude right now, and San's doing the interior art. This publisher's like, where is this artist at?
Yeah.
How long does he take to do these great pages? And I'm like, he takes a day.
Yeah.
And this publisher's like, no. And I'm like, seriously. He comes at me with the roughs one day, and he gives me the finished pages in the next day. He is so fast. He is so good. He's just not seen.
Yeah. Yeah. But he will be.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting out there now.
Well, I'm definitely,
like you said, that publisher just saw him. Was like, oh,
yeah. I definitely push him to just about anyone that'll hear me because I love his work.
Yep.
Love it.
And I have met so many great people, just like you have, and I've met, like, you are a great person. I meet all these great writers and artists, and I'm thankful for that. Like, co-hosting CromCon is a hoot. It's a pain in the butt, literally, because you're sitting in this chair all the time. And
right.
I'm not a good chair sitter. You wouldn't know that by my athletic physique, by the way. Yeah. So, but I meet all these people, and it's like, okay, that guy's better than I am. Maybe I'm better than this guy, but at least I'm running in the crowd.
Yeah.
You know? I'm
And
part of the
it's
crowd.
how you're marketing yourself too, and what you're doing with it.
It's that realization though that I can do this.
Yeah.
You know, I fit in with this crowd of people that are these serious creators. No, we're not the big CG kings and all that stuff. But so what?
Yeah.
We're here doing it. We're getting it done.
We're having fun. We're you know, I'm doing what everyone asks me what my goals are. And my goals were to have something with my kids.
Yeah.
And, you know, they've been a part of my comic journey from day one. And, you know, they've seen the comics come in. I've seen that sparkle in their eye when we put them on bookshelves.
Oh, yeah.
I've achieved my goal. If I got hit by that bus tomorrow.
No regrets.
No.
No regrets.
None at all.
Paul, I have to ask you this too, in light of what you're sharing. Did you have an afro when you had your hair?
No. And my hair was nice, slicked back, and if you see Dylan, his hair was like mine used to be.
Okay.
And I joke around with him. I tell him, you know, I'm gonna go get that, buzz it off, and just put his hair back on my head because it's his fault.
Yes, you're looking at your future, kid.
It's his fault that I lost my hair.
Now, what was funny with my with my youngest son, I didn't start even losing my hair until I was in my 40s, you know. And the second it started receding, I was, that's it. You know, I'm never going to fight it. And my son would, ha, ha, ha. He made fun of me. He had long blonde hair, you know, Mr. Metal Band, you know. Yeah, he started losing his shit before he even got to 30.
Oh.
And I never let him forget it. Little ungrateful thing, you. The fire department for you. The fire department.
Yes. Doc, I could talk to you all day. I really could. Like I said, I have a million questions when it comes to comics. But, you know, it is 5 o'clock, top of the hour.
Top of the hour, baby.
I don't know if they got another show coming.
It went by like that.
It really does. Every time I talk to you, Doc. Every time.
Same, man. We have a good time. You know, I don't know if anybody even watched, but we had a good time. So.
Exactly.
You know, I drive viewers away. It's my mutant gift, Paul. I'm sorry.
And we got plenty of time to talk when I come on your show.
Yes.
You know, promote my books.
Yes, and we will make that happen. Absolutely. And I'll write it down.
Yeah.
Let me
like
get
I said, I'll come in whenever you forget about the guests that are supposed to be there anyway. Don't let Laurie come in though.
Yeah, no, Laurie, you gotta wait. Just God, please just let me get through the launch, and then I'll breathe a sigh, because then win, lose, or draw, the trigger has been pulled. You can't unring a bell. Here we go. You know,
you got this. I believe in you.
Well, thank you. I'm fairly confident we'll fund, and if not, we're gonna have a good time no matter what.
There you go. That's the whole point.
Yeah, I promise not to jump off a bridge.
All right. What do you say, Pops? It's time to go. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by. Doc, Pops,
Paul.
back there in the back.
Pops, always thank you for being the producer on the spot. The producer with no equal. And I always tell him, play us out of here, Pops.
Hey friends, Morgan Quaid here to tell you about a little project called The Crimson Folly, a D&D inspired comic anthology which takes place in a fantasy tavern called, you guessed it, The Crimson Folly. I'm working with more than a dozen artists from all over the world to bring this story to life through sequential comic artwork, intricate portrait pieces, sketches, and of course, words! My aim is to produce a combined comic story and art book. The first 40 pages will be a comic book telling the main story of the folly and using different artists to build out each section of the story. The art book will then contain sketches and short stories relating to characters from that story. So if you're a fan of D&D, fantasy artwork, comics, or just great storytelling, you'll love The Crimson Folly. Yes, you will.
In a world where creatures of myth and legend exist, a covert task force is charged with keeping humanity safe from supernatural threats. And when young Nancy Moon stumbles into the eternal battle between good and evil, she finds... Oh my god, will you shut up? What's happening? Agent Beckett here. Aren't you tired of stuff like that? Want something different? Roll the tape. Whoops. Sorry about that. That's a song I'm writing for my ex. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's more like it. Alrighty. Welcome to the world of the mythicals. We have it all. Monsters. Magic. Government agents. He's the strong silent type. This guy. Ugh, gross, dude. Get some kind of cream or something. Lots of 90s style action. Pew pew pew. And that strong female lead alluded to earlier. Not to mention a dashing field commander with a great sense of fashion. Look at those glasses. South River Studios presents The Mythicals, Issue 1. Buy it, if you dare. Ugh, will you can it already? How'd you get free? Now beat it before I lose my cool.
So what are you waiting for? Back it today. Like right now.
Back the Mythicals today.
Mickey, Barry, Slothy, and Stig are back.
In Misfits Clubhouse, sharks, dragons, and little red wagons. Our lovable quartet knows how to turn anything into a big adventure.
And this issue is no exception.
They have a face-off with the ever-feared Old Man Willie.
There's a beach bash bonanza in their future.
And we also get to meet for the very first time their favorite TV hero,
Bruce McTutherson,
Aquatic Investigator. This campaign will have multiple collectible covers by awesome artists.
And as you'd expect from us, some unique swag. We hope you'll stick around.
Come on in and hang out in the clubhouse.
Join along in the shenanigans.
bringing you sex, sass, and style. Buckle up and unlock your imagination for a fun adventure with these death-dealing dames. They sail the galaxy in search of spoils. The most dangerous acquisition, and the most fruitful, are the legendary Splinters of Yggdrasil. The Splinters are magical artifacts forged from the Tree of Life that wreak havoc on the universe. The missions are perilous, but the bounty is glorious. Enjoy our hyper-fictional wonderland. How is a pirate ship sailing through space? 'Cause magic. How do they heal so quickly after battle? 'Cause magic. How are they able to communicate through jewelry? 'Cause magic. It's all about the characters. Abo, rough, robotic, ready. Mo, carefree, callous, courageous. Mistress Graven, daring, diplomatic, dominating. Betsy, academic, accountable, aristocratic. Nefara, ancient, assured, adrenaline junkie. Bruto, proud, prominent, protective. Fisty, independent, incendiary, invigorating. Roxy, superficial, scarred, secretive. Once you get to know this diverse crew of mythical miscreants, you'll be anxious to find out what trouble they'll get into on the next episode. Go to abogrizzly.com and order both halves of the first episode today.
I'm a setting sun, but I'll never run. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. I will stay and fight as long as I'm alive. I'm a dead man walking. I'm a dead man walking. Till I die. And kill till I die.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot.
Jazz hands. Jazz hands and brakes.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160